Okay, that'll be my first question. It's fun to connect with your history. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Conscious Relationship Marketing with Haseena Patel, author, entrepreneur, healing edge coach. Welcome, Haseena.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, Carissa.
Well, we're honored to have you. Especially, this is the last Wednesday live for Humanities Team, at least temporarily. So it's exciting. You're our grand finale. Of course, we'll
Oh,
still have live events and summits and interactive spotlights. So we're just transitioning to a new way of being. I'm Charissa Sims, live event host with Humanities Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And I'm coming to you live from Lafayette, Colorado. I also wanted to welcome those streaming live through the Humanities Team Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Stream Plus members that are here in the green room with us. Thanks for being members and being on camera. I wanted to do a special shout out to the Sign Network with John and Summer Raymer at Sign.network. They are having a special event called the Golden Circle of Light for the Animal Kingdom on One World Earth, and that's on February 27th. So culminating the 40th day of MLK Jr., 40 Days of Peace. And I feel like that event is highlighted by Haseena's background with all these incredible animals back there. I love it. It's wonderful. Because this is a live program, we will have time for comments and questions. So just post it in the chat wherever you're watching and try to get it in within the first 30 to 40 minutes of the program. And you may get your question answered by Haseena. I wanted to share a little bit about Haseena. She is South African by birth, a global citizen at heart, and a truth walker through personal evolution. She is the author of The Truth Walker's Journey, The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not, a conscious entrepreneur, healing edge coach, Akashic Records reader, and poet. Beautiful. Haseena is co founder of Leave No Girl Behind International, an organization empowering girls and women through leadership programs, and a member of the Hague Center for Global Governance, Innovation, and Emergence. So exciting. I'm so happy to be speaking with you today.
it's great to be speaking with you too.
Well, would you share a little bit about your background and how you became such a leader in your own life?
Well, it's an interesting story. So, being South African, I grew up non-white in apartheid South Africa. It was a very tumultuous time, and I'll share a story that I have shared with people before that I was 3 years old and shopping with my mom like a normal 3-year-old, wanted to go to the bathroom. That story's too common. And what happened was my mom decided to take me to the bathroom, except that there were two bathrooms, and the one said whites only, and the other one said non-whites only. Now, being non-white, the law stated she had to go into the non-whites bathroom, and she took me in there, and it was quite a mess. So she walked me right out and then took me into the whites only bathroom. And I only remember snippets of this, but I was washing my hands, and apparently, a woman came out of the stall and said to my mom, "You're not supposed to be in here." And she turned around and said to the woman, "Well, who are you? The toilet police.
So
It's funny, right? And then I think of like what courage it must have taken to actually say that because she was literally going against the law. It was an entrenched law, it was written into law.
mm,
And um, things like these happened, so I've lived through that kind of inequality and some gender inequality, which also fueled me. And yet, when I was of school-going age, I went to a private school in our town. It was run by Dominican sisters and it was multiracial. Now, that was not a normal thing. In fact, I believe there was a quota of non-white kids that the nuns could admit. And they apparently they always waited until the government checked and then admitted all the non-white kids afterwards. So
interesting.
yeah, so
Okay.
I just saw what my country could be like at 6 years old because we were of different religious backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, and we learned to appreciate one another, to respect one another, love one another, and also be able to say one another's names without saying, you know what, this is too difficult, which actually happens and it shouldn't. So I had these two contrasts, and I really saw how we could be the rainbow nation that our country later became when I turned 18 and I voted for the first time, and Madiba and Nelson Mandela became our first democratically elected president. So that's my background, and it's really influenced my work.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I was just curious, what is your cultural and religious background?
So that's an interesting question. I'm Indian South African.
Uh-huh.
My grandparents on both sides were from India, and my parents, well, my dad crossed over in 2008, South African citizen, as is my mom. So I'm Indian South African. And as far as religious background, I was raised Muslim, then went to Catholic school, had Hindu
Yeah,
neighbors,
with the
people
nuns.
of
So
all
you,
beliefs. And
uh,
right now, I don't subscribe to religion. I respect all belief systems and backgrounds. Um, I just connect with source, with all that is. And I'm an Akashic Records reader, so that's just where I come from.
that's wonderful. You have such a deep spiritual background and bringing this to conscious relationship marketing. How does your background and your spiritual beliefs with going into the Kasha, how does that affect your marketing?
You know, I believe that it doesn't matter whatever our background is, we always come in with this deepest core truth. And when we can stand in that truth and just be aligned, like mind, body, spirit, everything we do comes from there. And I just feel that when you're coming from that place, you can call it your heart, your truth, source within, God within, whatever you want to call it. Um, when you're coming from that space, then who you are, that space of love that you are is coming through. So you're not being in your head. And this is something I feel so strongly about that even when one comes into something like entrepreneurship, that I feel that it's so important to come from deepest truth and not from the head that says, I've got to prepare, this is how I must act, that this is what I must do, this is what works. And I just feel that we're not in silos with the different areas of our lives. So when we bring it all together, and we come from one space, who we are, that being automatically flows into doing, and it's sincere and it's just filled with everything that we stand for.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that philosophy. And it feels like, as an entrepreneur myself, that I can relax and flow and be who I am instead of having like this separateness. So I have to sell them or market to them. It just feels like, I can be myself according to your theory, and then I will magnetize maybe the right people that need my help.
Yeah, and I feel that is definitely true. I definitely feel that we're attracted, and not in a what people would describe woo-woo way. Um, and I describe myself as woo-woo too, so it's not I'm not using it as a
Hey, I
what
am
should I say,
too.
derogatory word,
I'm in
right?
the woo woo club, yes.
So I just feel that when we're in that space of just a high vibration, because when we're in alignment, we're in a high vibration, then that's what we're giving to whoever we're interacting with. And to just make it very concrete, it's like when one is in a bad mood, everything just starts going wrong. And it kind of, because we set the tone that way. So everything that is subscribes to that tone. And we see things that we don't like or want in other people because we're focused on that. And
Mm.
there's an exercise that I do about um, actually it will take 20 seconds if you're okay
Okay, you
with me
want to
doing
do
it.
it? Okay,
I
that's
would.
fine. Yeah.
So this is something that I've done on my program. I'd like to ask everyone here to just think of the color red. Now look for anything red in your background or even my background.
Hmm.
Anywhere on the screen or in your background at home or wherever you are, just look for the color red. Okay, I think we might have all found something red. Now close your eyes and yeah, let's do this with closing our eyes. Close your eyes and just name something in your background or on your person or in my background that is blue. You can open your eyes. The point being that um, we were focused on the red. And some of you who might have something blue in your background that you're very familiar with or you see every day, like your top or your dress, Carissa, um,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and I
So,
also have the Eye of Horus behind me, even though it's blocked. So I
oh,
knew that, like you said, from my memory, but I had to dig into my memory.
yes, because we weren't focused on the blue, so it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So whatever you focus on expands. And when we focused on being in alignment on our deepest truth and where we come from, then that's the part that we give out. And whether we're in a networking situation in our businesses or whether we're, just talking to someone, that energy is coming to them and they're responding in a like way. And if we're in alignment, they're feeling safe and the conversation goes deeper and we all feel much better than if we were closed off because something happened and we allowed ourselves to be misaligned.
Interesting. Well, can you define conscious relationship marketing? Because that is the course on Stream Plus.
So, relationship marketing is, I find it just a very futuristic and empowering model of entrepreneurship. It doesn't just focus on giving a service or selling a product. It focuses on also having the capability to be able to empower someone with their own stream of income, with their own business, as it were, depending on what they're drawn to. And conscious relationship marketing is looking at this model of entrepreneurship through a conscious lens. I feel that it's intentional, that we're very focused on, well, where am I coming from? The being that I talked about flowing into doing, that it's also focused, it has a spiritual focus as well, where we're looking at, well, why am I doing this? So it's not just, well, this is what I do, and these are the action steps. It's why am I doing this? And where am I coming from? And um, what is the relationship me to my entrepreneurship endeavor? What is the relationship me to the person that I'm talking to, me to the community? And the third thing that I'd say is that when it's conscious relationship marketing, and I use the word conscious, and this is my energy when I think of the word. So I think of the bigger picture. There's a consciousness of what's happening in our collective. What do I want to contribute through entrepreneurship to the collective?
Mm.
And for
I
me, that
love
is,
that question.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no. I was just going to say, for me, that is healing to peace. That is what I want to contribute. Healing to peace within and healing to peace as a contribution to our world, to our collective. And I really feel that when enough of us are doing that, we reach critical mass and we're able to shift into the natural flow where there's no competition. We don't look at scarcity. We don't look at competition. We don't look at, I must get mine before you get yours. It's co-creation. And how can we do this together?
Mm. Okay, so I got a little bit distracted because I was thinking, okay, healing is part of my purpose as well, but I don't have the same exact purpose. You're saying healing to peace. And I just realized in my mind, mine is healing to health, like body health, vibrancy, like that type of feeling. But I mean, peace could be something like a byproduct of that. But anyway, that was what was coming to me when you said that, when you said healing to peace, which is such a beautiful purpose.
I love that you raised that point about, because I always feel that healing is mind. You were talking about body and
Hmm.
health, and it's spirit as well. And it's also healing as contribution to the collective. And yet, I always feel that a lot of people, when we discussing healing, it's always I'm healing from. And I feel that we get to heal to our next level, whether it is in mind and body and spirit. I see that you feel that way too.
Well, once you said it, because it's a paradigm shift. Because
Yes.
that's like bringing in your old patterns where you could just shift timelines and heal to your next level. Like, why even bother?
Well,
Sorry, I don't know, I'm
no, that's
laughing.
it. I really feel when we say we're healing from something, that's what we're focusing on. The
Yes,
from something, I see a thumbs up. I love that.
yes.
We're focusing on the from something and not on the, well, we can't not evolve. Our world is constantly evolving. The universe is evolving, and we're part of the universe. We're expressions of the universe. So here we are, and as we evolve, whether it's in our mind, our body, spirit, um, entrepreneurship, whatever we're doing in our careers, wherever it is, we can't stop evolving. And even when we see something or there's something within that we don't want, that is the darkness, that we would term as a darkness, we're still evolving because we know what we don't want. And I knew that I didn't just want to, do something. I wanted to be so that I could feel sincere because um, I didn't for a long time in my adult life. I was subscribing to expectations and how it should be. And now I get to come from me in everything, and especially in what I do in the world as an entrepreneur.
Mm. Wow. So I'm feeling really overwhelmed with emotions for some reason. You're just like an incredible person. Like I just feel your heart and like your heart for humanity, you know? It's really beautiful. Well, I'd love to play a clip from your course on Stream Plus called Conscious Relationship Marketing. Let's
A lot of us know the old paradigm of entrepreneurship, the hustle of outdoing the competition, scarcity and survival mentality. There isn't enough, and I've got to get my share before I don't have any. The idea that having a business is hard, you have to have the daily grind, be on the hamster wheel, and that cookie cutter definition of success that might not necessarily align with personal values or your vision, and it just doesn't feel right. So a lot of us feel, isn't there a way to do business the way it feels aligned, feels right, feels like fun? And this is why I love this model, conscious relationship marketing. So let's have a look at what it is and isn't. And again, I'm looking at a very great model of entrepreneurship through this conscious lens. For me, it is heart-centered and unifying. It's futuristic and evolutionary. I mean, you get to be with people, you get to bring what you bring, your unique version of empowerment to the table. It's a path to your personal vision and dream. It's a personal growth and development program with a compensation plan, not my words. I've heard it described that way by one of my mentors, and it's a brilliant way of looking at it. What it is not is a one-size-fits-all model or a job about sales or a cookie-cutter definition of success. Unpacking this, there are 5 principles that I just love about relationship marketing. Tribe and training, and I'll explain each of these as I go into them. An empowerment model in giving and receiving, the journey to freedom and evolution, a spiritual experience, and a flow of abundance.
Wow. To go deeper on all of those principles, you can sign up for Stream Plus and get her course because those are all just wonderful principles. And what inspired you to walk this path of conscious relationship marketing? How did you discover it? And then how did you know that this is the way of being?
I think it was me becoming more of me. Honestly, I mean, like I said, relationship marketing for me is one of the just greatest entrepreneurship models. And I had been exposed to it and been a little part of it in my 20s. And I didn't take it further. And I don't feel there was anything wrong with the model that I didn't take it further. It was me not having found who I am. And so when I was exposed to it a second time, And it was such a great product that I was exposed to, that I felt, well, this is something that I'd like to use. And I did, but I really wasn't interested in the business model. And then I found the community and my mentors. Um, I mean, I went through a rough patch for a few weeks. I think it was about 3 years ago, and then realized how my mentors were there for me. And I thought, well, to have that sort of support and that community is it's just unmatched. Why would I not look at this seriously, not look at the entrepreneurship side of it? So I did look at it, and I felt that I needed to be comfortable because I needed to find who I was. So by that time, my book, The Truth Walker's Journey, had come through me, and I use the principles, like you said, the subtitle is The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not. And when I peeled away all those layers, what remained is who I am, in alignment. And I just went from that truth and how do I come to anything in my life? How do I come to my way of being in a sports setting, in my yoga setting, in all sorts of different settings in my life? And I just brought the same to the entrepreneurship, to the relationship marketing. And I found that my words are coming out the way I mean them. My words are conveying my energy because I know what it means to me to empower people. I have that purpose of healing to peace and conveying that outwardly to everyone I'm in contact with, and also what it means for our collective. So just I guess having that focus and just being that, that's how the path came to feel like home for me.
And just for our audience, if you have any questions or comments for Haseena, please put it in the chat wherever you're watching. Oh, we do have a comment here. Guranam says, I've spent the last 3 years creating 12 volumes of haiku heart. Each has a different theme and all are beautiful and inspiring. I would like at least 1 million copies to go out in the world in people's hands. How do I do that without the feeling of selling, which is not comfortable for me?
That's such a great question. Um, and I felt the same. I felt totally the same, that I didn't want it to be selling. And well, I'll tell you what worked for me. When I felt that way, I realized that I was walking a path that diverged at some point, and here's the being and here's the doing. So I had to bring that together. And what I would say to you is that what is your intention? Because the energy comes through that haiku heart, and it's such a beautiful title. So that energy comes through when when it started coming through you, or however you describe that process. um, you looking at what the intention was and what inspired you to continue creating 12 volumes. I mean, 3 years, it's something very deep. And I go back to that and I tell your story, and there are other people who have a similar story and who would like to buy your volumes, because they want that energy. They want that energy to fill them so that they go out with their own empowerment, their own story. That's what's coming to me.
Wonderful. And and what's coming to me is giving, exchanging, selling, like you are giving value. So that was a word that was coming through. So thank you so much for your question because I'm sure a lot of people have that question and it really facilitated a wonderful discussion here. So, Haseena, how does conscious entrepreneurship contribute to our collective?
Well, I'm going to go to the point and just start with when whatever we do, we don't do it in a silo. Like we don't have just one part of our life, which is our personal life, and then we have another part of our life, which is our entrepreneurship life, and another part, which is something else. It all merges and it all comes together. So I feel that we walk in the world that way. And when we look at who we are right now, this is such an exciting time in our world. And I know people might not think so because there's great grief and great sadness as well, and lots of anger and other emotions. And at the same time, we are in what has been called the Great Turning. I love that phrase. We're coming into what I feel is our natural flow, a unitive world. Um, and so, with conscious entrepreneurship, how it contributes is that we're looking at all these things that are happening in the world, their marches, their protests, their, you know, everything that the person who's participating, no matter which side of the fence we would describe that, they're doing it because either because of a fear, because they want a better life, because they want the pain to stop, all these different motivations. And they're contributing that. And often we feel so disempowered because we're like, well, I have a job. I can't go march in the streets, or I have kids. I wouldn't put them, I wouldn't put them in the situation of not having a parent by, going to do something dangerous. And so it goes, and you feel, what am I really doing? And yet you can. This can be your contribution. Your conscious entrepreneurship journey can be part of what inspires um, all the people you come into contact with every day until everyone's doing the something that is in their hearts and they've all found somewhere to belong. And I don't mean every person. That sounds so idealistic. It's not even something most of us can envision right now. But when we're doing our little thing that's in our hearts, then there's a shift. We reach critical mass, and there's a shift into what I call healing to peace. There's that journey. So I feel that's how conscious entrepreneurship helps. If this was your peace mission, because I know for me, it is my peace mission.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's really amazing on Stream Plus. We have a few other courses on conscious business. And we also have a conscious business change agent certification that several people in corporate have gone through. So your philosophy is just really in alignment with the co-founder, Steve Farrell and Neil Donald Walsh. And it's just really complementary to some of the other courses we have. Yeah. Well, do you believe in the law of attraction and what does it mean to you?
I do. And I know the phrase is used in such a broad context and it's used with so many different meanings. And I'll go into before I go into my meaning, I know that law of attraction, it's sometimes portrayed as when people think of a certain thing long enough, they don't do anything. They're just sitting there and they feel, well, I'll attract it. And then a lot of people find, well, that didn't work for me. I still don't have what my heart really wanted. And I feel that law of attraction isn't about that. I feel that it's about what vibration am I putting out. We can't do anything or be anything or have anything without first being in a state where we're aligned with our truth. So whatever that truth may be inside of you, um, just being in that space and then letting the energy come from you, letting the words come from you, because if we just look at, okay, law of attraction, I don't need to do anything, I'll attract it. There can be a sort of divergent path, like a parallel, like this is being, this is doing, and then you being, and okay, I don't have to do anything. But in the state that I'm talking about, law of attraction, um, it's all merged, it's all one, where the being will flow into doing. Like when you're asking me a question now, I don't know the questions that you're going to ask me. And what makes it fun is to have a conversation, an emergent conversation, and just to speak off the cuff. And sometimes I'm sure you can say this too. We hear ourselves saying something or explaining it in a way we've never heard it come out of our mouths before. And that's because we're coming from our hearts and the doing comes automatically. So we're starting to walk the path from the being in our heart. It's not that we're sitting there and doing nothing and okay, let's attract it, it's coming to me. The action steps, as it were, come from the being, and there's no way to stop it because we feel so strongly we're going to do it. Like we can see this in children all the time when they really want something and they earnestly want it. It's not just like a fad or something. They will do anything. And what we believe they couldn't do, it will happen because they walk their path without it, with just coming from their heart. It just, the walking, the footsteps just start.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And when you were talking about the being and doing merging together, I see that also as the being is like feminine energy, sacred feminine, attracting, magnetizing it. And the doing is more masculine and getting out there. And then bringing them together just feels like a convergence of masculine and feminine.
Love that. Recently I've been well, I've been studying. I'm not finished by any stretch yet, but I was studying energetic kinesiology. I have been, and um there's some traditional Chinese medicine principles, a lot of them that come into it. And you look at the yin and the yang, and the yin is the going within, the more feminine, the just going within, and the yang is when we come out, and it's really the doing, as it were. Um, we can't have the one without the other. And the analogy that I'm comfortable using is like oxygenated and deoxygenated blood.
Mm.
We can't specifically have a pinpoint where the one stops and the other one begins. We know that, the inhale is so important. And then comes the exhale, and the one feeds into the other, and the one can't happen without the other. So um, we have that as a flow. It's not that it's separate, but I feel like the masculine and feminine, the yin and yang, lives in us like that. And even if we say darkness and light, we can't. I mean, in South Africa, we've had load shedding, which is, we've had mandatory power cuts for various reasons. And when that happened, then you know how much you appreciate the light. I mean, when the light comes on, it's just more loved and brighter than ever. And that's a very literal example, but I feel that's how life is. That
Oh.
The yin flows into the yang, the darkness flows into the light, masculine and feminine, that harmony.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And then yesterday was the Chinese New Year. You're the fire horse, so it's wonderful. You're bringing in yin and yang and talking about being and doing and appreciating the light when you don't have it and then you have it again. It's just more vibrant and amazing. And you come from that gratitude. Well, I would love to play another clip from your course on Stream Plus, and it's about the attractor factor.
Who do I want to be? And since we know we attract who we are, you can ask, who do I want to attract? What sort of business partners do I want to attract? So here's the step to take. Make a list. I'm not talking about a list of potential business partners because that's really the first thing you do in relationship marketing. So this is before you do that. Ask yourself, what qualities do I want in my business partners? And if that question feels very big and you're not quite sure yet, here are two other questions that you can break it down into. What qualities do you love in your friends? I mean, you love spending time with your friends, and they're qualities that you absolutely love in them. And it's probably the same qualities you love in yourself. So, what qualities do you love in yourself? List at least 10. So, I took out a journal and I made a list of qualities I wanted in my business partners. And I happened to list 26. Here's an example: conscious, evolutionary, adventurous, kind, daring, dream big, embody love and light, love being in community, explorers and lifelong learners, inspired, self-confident, and believe in who they are. These are just some of the qualities that I listed. You can pause now and list the qualities that you'd want in your business partners. Now we get to the next part of it. Be with your list. And with each of these points, you get to do this alongside of me if you choose. What would it feel like to spend time with your business partners who have the qualities you've listed? Probably the same as it feels to be with your friends whose qualities you've just listed. Take 30 seconds, pause here, and be with that. Now, read through your list and begin with I am. So, I am conscious. I am evolutionary. I am adventurous. I am kind. I dream big. I embody love and light. I love being in community. I am an explorer and lifelong learner. I am inspired. I am self-confident and believe in who I am.
That was inspiring. And I'm single, so I was thinking about, oh, I want those qualities in a romantic partner too.
That's what I did.
Oh,
And
amazing.
and I'm blessed to say that my partner's in the viewing room watching.
Oh, shout out to Haseena's partner. Lucky partner. So I love how you're so systematic about this. And do you recommend, does your course outline how to attract more clients? Do we also create a list for what our ideal client is, or how do you recommend going about that?
I feel that is a very it's a very important point that we can only attract as far as who we are. because even if you get the most perfect client that you'd want in an ideal world, right? This perfect person, if you're not on the same vibration, you're not going to see it. You're not going to receive the high vibration of that person. So to prepare for, meeting this perfect person where they are, and I'm using the word perfect loosely, however you're thinking
Perfectly
about it.
imperfect. We love the
Right.
imperfections.
The person that you'd ideally like to,
Yes.
whether it's as a client or whoever. Um, and if you're not there, you can't receive them on the same vibration. So you're
Yeah.
not even going to see some of those qualities. So I feel like working working within is the preparation. It's like feathering the nest, as it were. You come from, well, how can I raise my vibration? And um, I do it with like in my course, there are 5 building blocks of unbecoming. In other words, taking the layers off until you get to your truth. But one of the things is gratitude. And we're all familiar with that, so I'll use that. When you're in a space that doesn't feel so good and you're going, what am I grateful for? And it's not a list like, oh, of course, I should be grateful for my home and this and my kids and, whatever it is. It's what in this moment am I grateful for? Or another version of it, what feels good? Because sometimes it's just too much you're just not in that place. And when
Mm.
one starts listing those feelings, then you get to a higher vibration and then go into, well, what do I want in a client? Because then we're high enough on the vibration to know what we love about ourselves. If we're not feeling good, we're not in a space of self-love. So how can we, attract that sort of a client, or that sort of a business partner or romantic partner? So
Mm.
that's what I feel is really important.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, why is it important to nourish and integrate mind, body, and spirit when it comes to developing conscious relationships in marketing?
Um, well, I mean, especially at this time in the world, a lot of people are saying, I don't have the energy I had this time last year or 3 years ago. I've spoken to so many people who are saying, well, I show up in the gym or at yoga and I don't feel like I can do the same thing. Or, 1 hour feels like 3 hours. And that's just physical energy, right? And people think, well, I'm getting older and shift into that old paradigm that it's chronological age that determines your abilities, but it really isn't. So
Yes, I
we're,
love that. It's a biological, oh wait, biological versus chronological, because you could take care of yourself and be vibrant and have vitality to do this yoga. And I've seen that.
and what we need to give ourselves grace for is that we are in an unprecedented time in the world. I suppose everyone in any time could say that, but we feel like in our whole lives, we've never seen this before, whatever the this is that shocks one. And there are so many things. So as we're at this point in our world, we've got to give ourselves grace that our emotions are in a different place. We have different we have different challenges that affect us physically, collectively. Um, there are so many things, and I won't go into all of them, but our minds, a lot of us, our nervous systems just feel shut. We can't, we just can't get out of that. How do I cope with every day? And we can see this everywhere. So being in alignment, mind, body, spirit, we're actually giving self-care to all those elements, to the mind, to the body, to the spirit. If we're in a spiritual space, and our nervous system is shut, we're going to keep sort of having shiny ball syndrome and can't keep meditating, for example. If we're in a space where we're nourishing our mind and spirit is not aligned, we're going to keep going into our head to all these fearful thoughts and what's happening in the world. If we're, nourishing our, let's just give an example, if we're not nourishing our body, we're not going to have the energy to sustain certain things we want to do in the world, or to transfer those amazing epiphanies into a book. So there's so many, it all has to work in synergy for us to really come in and do what we intended to do when we came into this world.
I want to give you a standing ovation.
Well,
I'm so
we're all
inspired.
contributing.
Bravo. Okay, let's play another. Oh, Darlene gave you a stand. Okay, wonderful. We're getting standing ovations here. Oh my gosh, I'm so inspired. Okay, so we are going to play another clip on Stream Plus that looks at personal growth through the lens of mind, body, spirit.
And now going into the lighting up of your being. There's you and your dream, and this is about you. Gather items or practices that light up your mind, that light up your body, that light up your spirit. We are mind, body, spirit, and any personal growth and development we're doing is in mind, body, and spirit. Also, use practices from your building block list as a resource. So, what this is, there's nothing that you have to do differently here. We've already discussed the techniques. You have looked at which of the 5 building blocks, you've looked at all your preferred practices and techniques in each of the 5 building blocks. So you already have those. Why I mention mind, body, spirit is because we get to be in balance. If you're always using, say, the connection building block, you might not be using another building block, and it might light up a different aspect of you. The connection building block would light up your spirit. What about lighting up your body? That's where I'm coming from.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I look forward to diving deeper into that with your course. And we do have a question, which you generously answered in the chat. What is shiny ball syndrome? And maybe you could say it out loud for those watching elsewhere.
Yeah, it's when you get easily distracted or you're not able to focus. You're thinking of, too many different threads, which I think a lot of us are all too familiar with.
Yes, I have that definitely. Being an entrepreneur, I feel like sometimes pulled in a lot of directions, and it's hard to know where to start first. But I think going through your process can really help someone not have that, the shiny ball syndrome, have a little bit more focus.
Yeah, and I think we're all works in progress, and I'll go back to saying give ourselves grace. Um, it's a different thing if we're never able to focus, then we know this is something to really take self-care about. But we all have those moments, and we just have to allow ourselves sometimes to be and just give ourselves some space and some grace.
Yes, wonderful. Forgive ourselves for whatever process we're in right now. Well, what is the message you want to carry through your work?
Well, let me just be with that we're all connected, and that's what being in community is about. That we're all connected with one another. There isn't such a thing as us and them. It's all about I am you and you are me. And this comes through to whatever area in our lives, especially entrepreneurship, where often we think, well, this person's the same as me, this person's different. Um, you know, I feel like what if we open the space? And that's how I see conscious entrepreneurship, that let's open the space so that the I am you and you are me becomes just part of our normal existence. And as we keep growing the circle bigger, there's never going to be someone who's or rather, we're going to bridge that gap where people feel that it's that person's fault. The blame game is going to start dissolving. So that's a long story to say. My message is that let's be in community. We can do this together. Entrepreneurship or any other area of my life. That's a message that I want until we do start shifting into peace on earth. And I believe it's possible, and I believe we're on the journey.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I love our community at Stream Plus. And we're always getting feedback from our providers and members, and we help each other. And it's so needed at this time. That's one of the things I love about being part of Humanity's team. Yes, getting lots of hearts and likes for that. Well, is there a simple practice you'd like to share with our audience so that they can integrate this into their own journey, whether they're an entrepreneur or they're working or retired?
Okay, so we've gone into the gratitude building block. I think I'm going to bring the empathy building block in. And this is where, when we think of empathy, we think of perhaps there's someone in a situation that we describe as unfortunate, and we feel that, like we can put ourselves in those shoes. And that is a very compassionate and useful thing to do, to be able to recognize that and to honor the journey that they're taking. At the same time, let's flip that around for entrepreneurship or any other area and say, what when a person is feeling absolute joy? How does that feel? We've possibly felt something that they're feeling. Can we put ourselves in their shoes and bring that feeling to ourselves? And the best person whose shoes to put yourself in is yourself, because you've lived with you've lived with your humanness your entire life. So if you look at when did you last feel carefree? When did you last feel creative and productive and in the zone? When did you feel a sense of confidence? And you just think about that, and there's possibly some time in your life, whether it was when you were three or whether it was yesterday. You just think about that. Think of the event, and then from the event, pull out that feeling. And it's about the feeling. So make little keywords about events like that in your life. And if you found that if you can't think of anything, then think of someone in your world who might have experienced that. But pull those feelings out. And whenever you're going into something in your life, like entrepreneurship, say you're going into a room, going to network, or you're going to speak, or you're going to attend something, and you feel a little less than your normal self, a little less adequate, or you feel like I need some pepping up or something like that. Bring that event back to you, but more than that, bring that feeling back to you and just
Mm.
be with that feeling, internalize that feeling, let it go into every cell or every part of your being. And then when you're there, your vibration picks up. So that's just an entrepreneurship trick that I use. I use it when I go to speak or when I'm speaking with someone. And it's a calling for all of us who are entrepreneurs to bring our best to the other person, to bring our best to our community. So that's one way of taking care of that and raising our vibration.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And if you are listening, you can go back and watch that again and listen to Haseena and journal and take that time to really feel that integrated into your cells. We do have a comment. Darlene says, love acknowledgement that Humanities Team Stream Plus provides community where we help each other. Yes, it's so true. And thank you, Haseena, for joining us. And thank you, everyone that's watching, for conscious relationship marketing. Join Stream Plus now and gain immediate access to her empowering program on conscious marketing and the community. If you're not a member of Stream Plus, I would highly encourage you to join. We are proud to say that Stream Plus is the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising masterclasses and transformational education. We are a nonprofit and also give back with our One for One program. I wanted to thank Steve Farrell, Dee Meyer, and the production team, Jim Gray, Nanette Kennedy, Eva Lee, Kennedy Mathaler, and the rest of Humanity's team. It's been such a pleasure being with all of you. Blessings.